Chosen ones, awaken your soul. Be mindful of those who criticize, for karma keeps track of every action. No one escapes its reach, not even the critics who relish in others' struggles. In fact, their jealousy only harms them, as it triggers the same brain areas as physical pain. Karma is not just a cosmic force. It's an unforgiving teacher with a lesson for your detractors. Their final test is approaching fast. As you rise, they will face the consequences of their envy. So sit back, grab some popcorn, and enjoy the show. Because karma always delivers, and it never forgets. Chosen ones, your truth is revealed. The universe watches as balance is restored. First of all, karma often manifests as a mirror rather than in the form of justice robes. Karma doesn't always manifest as a clear-cut poetic justice or a spectacular demise. It's much more severe and subtle. It comes in the form of a mirror. Losing anything or being humiliated in public isn't the toughest lesson you can teach your foes. It's having to face the identical characteristics and actions they imposed on you. They are forced to recognize themselves for who they really are as soon as karma offers them that mirror. And it's not a nice sight, I assure you. Those who attempt to undermine others often do so in an effort to overcome their own fears. They will accuse you of being conceited, self-centered, or unworthy because, deep down, they dread having similar traits themselves. It's simpler to blame someone else than to own one's own shortcomings. Karma, however, doesn't spare them. It changes the course of events and forces them to deal with the fallout from their resentment. The same negativity they brought into the world now surrounds them, and they are unable to stop it, since the source is inside rather than outward. Karma helps them see your accomplishment, which is much worse. There's nothing more painful than seeing someone succeed while you're mired in the disaster you made for yourself. The reflection gets intolerable at that point. They realize that their fixation on your demise only served to impede their own advancement. They understand that you were developing, changing, and becoming untouchable while they were occupied with attempting to stop your blessings. The worst part is that karma doesn't need any effort on your part. You are not required to seek retribution or retaliation. The lesson is self-evident. The exact traits that your adversaries attempted to portray onto you caused them to struggle with their own reflection. Karma is the best instructor because of this. It exposes rather than just punishes, and there's nothing more humble than discovering who you really are when you least expect it. Second, jealousy is a self-destructive affliction that passes for ambition. One of the most harmful feelings a person can have is jealousy, and what's worse is that it's self-inflicted. It deceives individuals into thinking that their own value is somehow diminished by the achievement of others. Jealous people squander their energy resenting those who are just going about their lives, rather than concentrating on personal development. They fail to see that envy is really a disguised curse. They become resentful, worn out, and empty-handed as it preys on their mental tranquility. The harsh reality is that envy will never help someone succeed. By focusing on someone else's path, it prevents individuals from seeing their own potential. Consider this. What happens to your personal advancement when all of your energy is focused on hoping that someone else fails? It stalls. You begin to make choices based on competing with someone who is most likely not even considering you, rather than your aspirations. It's always a losing game. What about karma? It likes jealousy, you know. The exact thing that makes envious individuals angry is often amplified by karma. That individual continues to win, although they are upset over their delight. Life gives its target even more blessings while they're planning how to tear them down. The cosmos seems to be telling you to stay mad. However, the true sorrow lies inside. People who are jealous become captives of their own bitterness. Because they are evaluating themselves based on the accomplishments of others, they lose sight of their own objectives and become unhappy. The worst part is that jealousy never harms the target. Instead, it harms the one who harbors it. Karma is therefore subtly destroying their mental stability as they sit there harboring resentment and yearning for your destruction. They become their own worst adversaries. The most important lesson is that jealousy is a self-inflicted disease that can only be overcome by ceasing to compare and resent, and instead concentrating on creating a life that is worthwhile. Third, irrelevance is the worst penalty. Irrelevance is the hardest lesson that karma can impart, not failure or disgrace. For those who like discrediting others, nothing is more painful than learning that their presence, actions, and ideas are no longer significant. Attention is the fuel for individuals who are motivated by hate or envy. They scheme, talk, and criticize because it makes them feel important, rather than because they have better things to do. They are left with an unfillable hole the instant karma takes away their feeling of significance. When your adversaries are unable to access your energy, their words cease to have an impact on you, and their plans fail. They lose all significance. For those who made their reputation as your critic, it is a tough thing to accept. When you outgrow their foolishness and go on to greater and better things, they are left behind, shrieking into thin air. They feed on the notion that they are important in your tale, and knowing that you don't give a damn erodes them more than anything else. The best part is that you don't even need to take any action. Karma takes care of it for you. Your opponents lose significance the more you concentrate on your development, contentment, and achievement. To be honest, they are desperate and pathetic in their efforts to discredit you. Seeing someone throw fists at nothing is like that. Even more cruel is the fact that they often accompany their insignificance with observing your ascent. You glow brightly as others fade into the background. You're out enjoying your best life, surrounded by fresh chances and sincere friendships, while they're trapped in the same resentful attitude, making ensuring your adversaries see you prosper while they are reduced to supporting characters in a narrative they believe they controlled is karma's subtle but lethal form of retaliation. Being irrelevant is a total erasure of their authority, not only a punishment. And there is no more terrible destiny for those who are driven by jealousy. Fourth, your development, not silence, is the lesson. Although it may appear honorable, silence is seldom the true lesson that karma teaches. The loudest and most humble message your opponents will ever hear is your own improvement. People want you to fall apart, remain the same, or respond in a manner that supports their beliefs when they criticize or envy you. However, they are no longer able to control you when you decide to develop instead, becoming more resilient, prosperous, and content. Jealousy is fundamentally destroyed by that type of change. They are unable to touch growth. It is unstoppable, intangible, and unquestionable. Only when it is directed at someone who is insecure or readily influenced can criticism function. The views of others lose their significance when you rise beyond their trivial viewpoints. All of a sudden, the things they used to make fun of you became admirable traits. Your success narrative now includes the imperfections they were fixated on. Your adversaries suffer much from that change as it gives them nothing to cling to. The fact that they are unable to comprehend your growth makes it much more distressing for them. They were too preoccupied with seeing your failure to take note of the diligence, resiliency, and development taking place just in front of them. You're already out of reach and leading a life they can't even understand by the time they realize what's occurred. The catch is that as you mature, their envy usually becomes stronger but loses its purpose. They will attempt to be critical of you, but it will not be sustained. Why? Because they become irrelevant as a result of expansion. It produces an emotionally, socially, or even professionally unavailable version of you. Karma's masterwork is that you don't have to make grandiose claims or take part in small-scale retaliation. Without you having to do anything, It just acknowledges your progress in a manner that silences your detractors. Growth is a reckoning for those who hoped you would never rise, not merely a lesson for you. Additionally, their envy becomes a burden they must bear alone the higher you progress. Number 5. Karma flips the script to degrade egos. Karma enjoys changing the course of events in unexpected ways. Nowadays, those who spread rumors about you and bring up your name in casual discussions often find themselves in a precarious situation where they have to defend you. Egos are humbled by life's peculiar knack of making them defend the exact individuals they attempted to kill. Furthermore, nothing is more embarrassing for a gossip than to discover that they have unintentionally become your spokeswoman. Usually, it begins quietly. Perhaps you become too successful to overlook. The same individuals who mocked your aspirations or disapproved of your decisions can no longer ignore you when they see your name linked to successes, honors, and possibilities. They will first minimize it, claiming you changed or blaming it on chance. But they're left fumbling for relevance when your glow-up becomes too bright to dim. The intriguing part is that you will be admired by new acquaintances in their business or social circles. All of a sudden, disparaging you is no longer acceptable. In actuality, standing up for yourself becomes the socially accepted course of action, even if they spent years yearning for your demise. The same individuals who have been spreading rumors about you will suddenly have to say things like, "Oh yeah, I knew them back when," or "They actually work really hard." They will do this with clenched teeth. Additionally, it's not just about your success. Karma sometimes changes the course of events by placing you in predicaments where your adversaries need you. Perhaps you have access to opportunities, resources, or knowledge that they are sorely seeking. Or maybe someone they like thinks highly of you, so they can't keep up their slander campaign without coming out as resentful or stupid. Whether your adversaries like it or not, karma turns them into members of your fan club. That's the beauty of it. Poetic justice is best experienced when you see them clumsily defend your reputation or recognize your accomplishment. What's the greatest part? Making it happen didn't need any effort on your part. Sixth, people who wish you failure often become caught up in the energy they emit. One important guideline is sometimes overlooked by those who wish others failure. Life is energy, and what you put out is what you receive back. Not only are they radiating negativity, but they are also setting themselves up for failure when they retain malice, plan sabotage, or take pleasure in the hardships of others. That negative energy may be boomeranged straight back by karma, and when it does it with vigor. Negative energy functions similarly to a poisonous investment. Over time, it accumulates and permeates every aspect of their lives. They lose sight of their own objectives and satisfaction, while they're preoccupied with wishing for your downfall. Their actions, relationships, and general mental health are all impacted by the lingering resentment. The energy you produce is remarkably reflected in life, and when that reflection returns, it manifests in unexpected ways. Missed chances, damaged relationships, or unexpected defeats are often the first signs. They may first attribute it as ill luck. However, the weight of their negativity becomes unavoidable as life keeps going in a downward spiral. Because they never learned how to constructively channel their thoughts, they get stuck in the same energy they released and are unable to escape. The knowledge that the person they targeted, typically you, has moved on and prospered in spite of their efforts is even more cruel. You're out there enjoying your best life, unaffected by their negativity, while they sink in resentment. The ultimate karmic twist is that, ironically, the more people concentrate about your achievement and want for your collapse, the more they get enmeshed in their own suffering. Grand gestures are not necessary for karma. It only intensifies the energy they produced until it becomes intolerable. Their fixation with your failure guarantees that they will never find success or tranquility of their own, and their hate turns into their prison. They drown in what they once wished upon you, and that is the real cost of putting out hate. It comes back with interest. Seventh, karma is about shattering illusions, not about poetic justice. Karma isn't about dramatic retribution sequences or poetic justice. It's about tearing down illusions, removing the falsehoods individuals tell themselves, and revealing the reality. Those who act out of harshness, manipulation, or envy ultimately have to face the hard truth that life isn't a power struggle. It penalizes pettiness and encourages genuineness. Petty-minded people often think they're winning when they undermine, manipulate, or talk their way through life. They confuse short-term triumphs with long-term achievements. However, karma is long-term oriented and does not care about short-term gains. And when it does, it dispels the myth that their strategies were ever viable. The process of disassembly is harsh. The relationships they forged via lying abruptly break down. The carefully constructed picture begins to crumble. They lose out on opportunities that they believe to be safe. Why? Because honesty, hard effort, and sincerity are finally rewarded in life. The universe exposes those who don't move with good intentions and has a way of lining things up for those who do. The fact that karma often makes sure people see the success of individuals they attempt to discredit just serves to exacerbate the agony of this lesson. You're prospering in ways they could never have predicted, while they struggle to keep up their collapsing facade. Furthermore, the calm, contentment, and respect that come with leading a genuine life are more important than monetary achievement. They are unable to falsify or control that. By demonstrating that life is a path of progress rather than a power struggle, karma shatters their illusions. And as others grow and advance, those who don't take that lesson to heart are left behind, mired in their small-minded habits. In actuality, those who develop with purpose rather than deceit are rewarded in life. When karma reverses that script, it's a reality check that exposes, humbles, and stuns adversaries. Number 8. Because they are blinded by their preoccupation, the envious rabble never prevails. The power of jealousy is blinding. Because they are too preoccupied with seeing you fail to focus on their own accomplishment, the envious crowd never succeeds. They become slaves to your every action rather than concentrating on their development, contentment, or objectives. They spend limitless energy evaluating your accomplishments, talking about you, and thinking about you when they wake up. The irony is that you're out there enjoying your life while they're obsessed with it. Karma intervenes to provide a harsh lesson. Failure is inevitable when one's concentration is misdirected. By focusing on someone else, the envious crowd wastes the focus, effort, and intention necessary for success. Where individuals focus their energy is magnified by the cosmos, and when that energy is based on resentment, it backfires dramatically. They waste time on jealousy and resentment when they might have been doing something worthwhile. The knowledge that their obsession with you just serves to further your achievement is even more painful. They inadvertently increase your profile by bringing up your name often, whether in criticism or rumor. Opportunities come your way. People start to ask you questions, and while they stagnate, your development picks up speed. And failure isn't the only thing that strikes them when karma strikes that last blow. They also realize how much time and effort they squandered. There is nothing to show for their preoccupation when they glance around. They can no longer understand the new levels of achievement and satisfaction you've achieved in the meantime. Seeing someone they've envied succeed while continuing to think bitterly is the ultimate torment. Karma forces people to live with the repercussions of their misdirected attention in addition to exposing it. Because they undermine themselves by prioritizing passion over advancement, the envious mob never prevails. It's also often too late to catch up by the time they realize it. Number 9. Being so satisfied that your opponents are forced to consider their own decisions is a greater victory than proving them incorrect. Being so satisfied that your opponents start to doubt their own decisions is the true triumph in life, not proving them wrong. Those who oppose you anticipate opposition. They want you to throw your energy into proving them incorrect, responding to their views, or becoming mired in their petty arguments. However, you deny them that power when you choose for satisfaction instead. The perplexity that arises when they discover you've outgrown their story entirely is karma's cruelest lesson. Success is just one aspect of fulfillment. Other aspects include contentment, and enjoying life according to your own terms. Your adversaries are left perplexed when you get to that level. They are unable to understand how you stopped giving a damn about what they think, how you succeed in spite of their attempts to stop you, or how you discovered happiness in areas they never even looked. Their whole viewpoint falls apart when you take them out of the picture, because their entire universe was based on the notion that they were important to your tale. The fact that their perplexity often turns inward makes this lesson even more severe. They begin to doubt their own decisions, asking why you're thriving while they're trapped. They start to see how pointless their fixation on you and the lost chances in their own life are. It's difficult to accept that. The irony is that their discontent is reflected in your fulfillment. Since your success compels people to face their own shortcomings, they are unable to avoid the comparison. They believe that breaking you was a win, but karma changed the course of events. The capacity to rise above their clamor and create a life they can't touch was always the key to victory. Karma challenges adversaries' preconceived notions and humbles them by disproving their assumptions. The consequence for such misunderstanding is considerably harsher than any debate or plan of retaliation. The only way out of this lifetime reckoning is to confront the harsh reality that they have been avoiding for so long. Their fixation was never worthwhile. 10th, karma shouts the truth while jealousy whispers falsehoods. A skilled manipulator, jealousy whispers falsehoods that warp reality. It conveys the idea that you're fortunate or undeserving, and that you don't deserve your accomplishment. It makes people believe that they will discover a fault to support their animosity if they look closely enough. Karma, however, shouts the truth rather than whispering it. And when those who are envious of you lose all faith in you, they are left to deal with their own fears. This is a harsh awakening. They first console themselves by holding on to the falsehoods that envy has taught them. Perhaps they believe that you will ultimately make a mistake, or that your success is fleeting. Karma, however, is patient. It waits until your development, accomplishments, and fortitude are undeniable. Their presumptions are disproved one by one. The fact that this lesson is very personal just serves to make it more severe. They are forced to face the true cause of their resentment, their own fears, when their falsehoods about you are revealed. You were never the object of jealousy. Rather, it was what you stood for. Perhaps it was your self-assurance, your capacity to overcome obstacles, or your will to pursue your goals in spite of the odds. Whatever it was, it brought to light something they didn't want to acknowledge yet lacked. The reality that karma tells isn't kind. It compels people to face their discomfort and their own inadequacies. They become caught up in a vicious cycle of self-doubt, wondering why they squandered so much energy hating you rather than bettering themselves. The worst thing is that you're out there succeeding, developing, and leading your greatest life while they're trapped fighting their fears. Their lost time and energy are brought home to them every day by that contrast. In addition to exposing the falsehoods propagated by envy, karma forces individuals to live with the repercussions of their deception. And that's a penalty much harsher than any exterior disaster for people who allow envy to overwhelm them. 11th, the route to your success is often paved by those who attempt to undermine you. The paradoxical beauty of karma is that those who attempt to undermine you often wind up clearing the way for your achievement. The exact things that make up your triumph route are their schemes, rumors, and efforts to undermine you. Sabotage stems from the idea that someone else's failure will lead to an advantage, as if karma is saying, "Thanks for the free construction materials." However, these con artists are unaware that hardship fosters resiliency. You gain knowledge, adjust, and become more resilient each time they put you through a hardship. Their efforts turn into lessons you didn't seek for, but nevertheless gain from. They unintentionally improve you while attempting to break you. The way karma exploits their acts to increase your exposure is even more poetic. Rumors? It's only free advertising. Criticism? It often piques interest, causing others to investigate you and find your advantages rather than your disadvantages. You receive more attention the more noise they create, and their sabotage has backfired, making you a person of attention and adoration before they ever realize it. Another psychological twist is that those who attempt to harm you often develop an obsession with tracking your development. They keep an eye on everything you do, searching for indications of failure. They don't understand, however, that your importance is fueled by their interest. They inadvertently increase your impact by keeping your name in the spotlight. What about karma? It loves irony. It guarantees that those who attempted to obstruct your blessings will be the ones to pave the way for your achievement. Their attempts to bury you simply serve to sow the seeds for your development. Their criticism becomes a badge of pride, and their sabotage becomes a spotlight. Number 12. When adversaries become too preoccupied with your fate, rather than their own, they are the ones who create their own demise. When enemies become too preoccupied with your fate, rather than their own, they often design their own demise. Their efforts are focused on tracking your accomplishments, critiquing your decisions, and devising strategies to discredit you. People don't realize that strength comes from attention, and the more people focus on you, the more they unintentionally help you rise. Karma makes sure that their misdirected attention propels your ascent, while their own advancement sputters to a stop. Focus is necessary for success, but envy prevents individuals from seeing this obvious fact. They squander time on you, rather than on own development. They are too busy attempting to obstruct your path to create their own. That fixation proves to be their downfall. While you continue to go on, unfazed and unstoppable, their chances pass them by. This is made even more poetic by the fact that their obsession often results in unintentional promotion. They maintain the relevance of your name by continuously discussing you, whether via rumors or criticism. People who may not have given you much attention suddenly show interest in you, which leads to unexpected opportunities. They unintentionally raise you while attempting to pull you down. By making sure that their efforts have a positive ripple effect, karma intensifies this irony. They wonder why things aren't going their way and feel trapped, irritated, and stagnant. The solution is straightforward. They were too preoccupied with destroying you to concentrate on advancing themselves, and you continue to rise, unaffected by their criticism, while they squander years in this pointless loop. This is the ultimate karmic twist. Their preoccupation with your fate ends up overshadowing their own. Karma only allows people to harm themselves. It doesn't need complex plans. And before they know it, you're already living the life they've always desired, but were too resentful to pursue. 13th, karma invades their life rather than knocking on their home door to give them a lesson. When karma shows up, it doesn't knock nicely. Instead, it enters lives with an unavoidable force. Karma doesn't gently nudge foes who cross a boundary. Instead, it causes turmoil in the shape of lost chances, broken reputations, and lost serenity. These are its distinguishing characteristics, and they make an impact that people never forget. They may first be unaware of what is taking place. Minor annoyances accumulate, projects fail, reliable pals become aloof, unexpected difficulties occur. They attribute it to misfortune. Karma, however, is tenacious. It continues to pound on doors, destroying the facade they have created for themselves. Their meticulously constructed facade begins to crumble, exposing the reality they have been working so hard to conceal. Karma's lesson is particularly harsh since it targets their inner selves as well as their outside surroundings. The most terrible effect is perhaps the loss of tranquility. The smug enjoyment they used to have is replaced with anxious, sleepless nights. Their thoughts become into prisons of remorse and paranoia, rehearsing their errors over and over again and wondering when the next blow will come. People are able to detect the negativity around them. Therefore, opportunities become scarce. Once a source of pride, their reputation turns into a problem as rumors about their actions proliferate. Their most prized possessions, influence, power, and status, slip through their fingers like sand. Karma wants equilibrium rather than retribution. By forcing individuals to live with the results of their deeds, it restores order, and the consequences are unavoidable whether such acts are motivated by cruelty, dishonesty, or envy. There is no way out of what they attempt to impose on others. It becomes their reality. Karma's invasion is great since it doesn't involve any effort on your part. You don't need to prove anything or pursue justice. Karma takes care of everything. Your adversaries' lives are determined by their own decisions, and they will always remember that lesson. Number 14. Your pleasure is karma's responsibility, not the final retaliation. Your pleasure is the ultimate form of retribution, not karma's. Karma is often thought of as revenge, as causing adversaries to suffer according to the suffering they inflicted. Karma's true strength, however, is in ensuring that those who attempted to destroy you remain there for your unstoppable triumph. It's about your ascent, not about their demise. By concentrating on recovery, development, and prosperity, you deprive your adversaries of the fulfillment they were looking for. They wanted you to remain trapped, resentful, and damaged. But contentment? They didn't anticipate that storyline surprise. Since it demonstrates that their efforts were in vain, it totally disarms them. They understand that they simply strengthened you, not stopped you. This karmic justice is so poetic, since it isn't too theatrical or loud. It's in the quiet times when you're accomplishing your objectives, smiling with genuine delight, or just being at peace with yourself. Your adversaries are compelled to observe as you create a life they cannot alter while they struggle with their own decisions. The cruelest lesson of all is that karma makes sure they have a front row seat to your victories. This isn't because they suffer directly, but rather because they have to see what they dreaded most: your pleasure without them. Their efforts to discredit you are rendered meaningless by your happiness. The catch is that genuine happiness cannot be coerced or manufactured. It is the outcome of progress, satisfaction, and inner serenity. When you get there, karma's task is over. Since your happiness screams louder than any punishment ever could, it doesn't need to seek retribution. Living a life so beautiful that your adversaries understand they never had the ability to stop you is the ultimate triumph, not watching them fall. And that insight? It's karma's last great work. Karma is a relentless force that imparts lessons in the most unexpected ways. It is not a fairy tale about justice. It doesn't come with a blaring trumpet or eloquent warnings. Instead, it silently appears, often in the garb of humiliating reversals, broken illusions, or personal development. Enemies fall prey to their own resentment, become oblivious to envy, and get overwhelmed by a desire to control events that were never theirs to decide. Their sabotage becomes the recipe for your success. Their energy propels your ascent, and their rumors magnify your reputation. The irony of karma is that it just reroutes energy rather than wasting it. However, the most important lesson that karma imparts is about transcending rather than retribution. It forces you to see beyond your pettiness and concentrate on your own development rather than your adversaries. Their failure is not the final triumph. Rather, It is your capacity to prosper beyond their reach, to lead a life so satisfying that their viewpoints are rendered moot. Retaliation like that shouts louder than any conflict or retaliation ever could. And your only task is to keep getting up while karma takes care of the ugly business of justice. Raise your voice, have greater dreams, and achieve success without apology. Nothing gives your adversaries a more severe lesson than seeing you transform into someone they cannot touch or understand. Therefore, let happiness be your best form of retribution. Karma rewrites the narrative, rather than just balancing the balances. And in this version, you triumph because you outgrew your adversaries, rather than because you annihilated them. And that, they will never forget that lesson. Do not stop here if this struck a chord with you. If you had a sense of empowerment, inspiration, or perhaps that aha moment, this is just the start of an adventure full with knowledge, insight, and profound life lessons. You won't want to miss what comes next, I promise. Thus, click the subscribe option and enable the alerts. Become a part of a community that values truth, progress, and unwavering achievement. Together, let's soar above the commotion and let karma take care of the rest. We have only just begun. Join us on this amazing adventure. I'll see you at the next one.